Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, make sure to give it the thumbs up. That's the like button, and also subscribe to the...
Dude, how can you forget your first love?
Many people in India love the KTM brand, just like me, because KTM changed the very definition of affordable sport motorcycling. In fact, they did it so well that BMW has caught up and made an affordable motorcycle for the masses. Yes, the G310R is here, and we are comparing it with the Duke 390 to tell you which motorcycle is worth your money. Both these motorcycles take inspiration from their bigger siblings, but the KTM is more genuine over here because it gets all LEDs. There are a multitude of LEDs in its headlights. It also gets LED indicators and definitely looks premium over here. Meanwhile, the BMW misses out on LEDs in its headlights as well as indicators. However, the BMW badge alone makes this motorcycle look like $1 million. Both these motorcycles get all digital instrument clusters with a lot of information on offer. While the BMW is the easier one to read, the KTM offers a slew of information. Not only does the console look better on the Duke 390, it also offers you Bluetooth connectivity, which is a first in the segment. And while this one uses a black and white cluster, the one on the Duke 390 uses a TFT screen with colors, and it also is light sensitive. It changes the backlit depending on the light condition. The fit finish levels on the BMW are certainly better. The quality levels are also better on the G310. However, the KTM gets certain things which give it a slight premium appeal, like backlit switches. And on the left side of the handlebar, there are a lot of buttons which makes it look very sophisticated, because those are the buttons to browse through that expansive TFT screen. Now here is where there's a big difference. BMW smart engineering means that this motorcycle offers great weight distribution, and yes, the performance is also very nice, as long as you don't get onto the Duke 390, because as they say, there is no replacement for displacement. The Duke 390 not only offers more power as well as torque, it is also faster in terms of 0 to 100 km/h acceleration and even top speed. But the reverse incline engine on the G310R definitely offers better heat management, because this motorcycle doesn't heat as much as the Duke. There have been instances where the Duke 390 has shut down because of heat, but we have not faced any such issues in the G310R or our long-term Apache 310. But in terms of refinement, this BMW motor excels and is better than the one on the KTM because it doesn't have as many vibrations as the KTM. That said, the G310R also has some amount of vibrations, but they are considerably less than its TVS counterpart. Sadly though, the premium price BMW misses out on a slipper clutch which is there on the Duke 390. The 390 also gets adjustable levers, something which is again missing on the BMW. The clutch action is lighter on the KTM, but the gearbox on the BMW offers smoother shifts. The Duke 390's exhaust note is constant throughout, from idle to the top end. However, the BMW doesn't sound that great at idle, but definitely improves as you push it hard towards its red line. In terms of power delivery, both these motorcycles are actually the opposite of each other because the BMW has great amount of low-end punch and a decent mid-range and not much of a top end. In the Duke, it's quite the opposite because it really doesn't have a good low end. It has a punchy mid-range, but it absolutely screams in the top end. Having the smaller engine, the BMW definitely has the better mileage over here. It returns around 28 km per litre, meanwhile the Duke 390 returns around 25 km per litre. But the Duke 390 has a bigger fuel tank and the G310R's tank is kind of small for the segment. Both these motorcycles are very similar when it comes to hardware because both of them use a trellis frame, upside down forks up front and a monoshock at the rear. Heck, even the tire sizes on both these motorcycles are the same. The BMW uses Michelin rubber, meanwhile the KTM uses Metzger's, which offers slightly better grip. However, the ones on the BMW are slightly longer lasting. In terms of comfort, the BMW is one up on the KTM because it gets center set foot pegs, meanwhile the Duke 390 has a slight rear set. Meanwhile, the riding position on both these motorcycles is mostly upright. I say mostly because KTM's riding position isn't really very comfortable, meanwhile the BMW is extremely comfortable. Even in terms of seat cushioning, it is way better than the Duke 390. The Duke 390 is set up on the stiffer side. It also gets more advanced front suspension, which happens to be an open cartridge WP suspension, which is adjustable for preload. Meanwhile, the BMW has a better balance between ride and handling. Not only is the BMW more eager to corner, it also has the better ride quality over here. And that's not all. The G310R also has the better brakes over here with a better calibrated ABS unit. Meanwhile, the Duke 390 has something known as Supermoto mode, which shuts off rear ABS and you can start doing some slides. The weight difference between both these motorcycles is a mere 5 kgs. And yes, the Duke 390 steering is lighter and thus more flickable, but it doesn't feel as planted as the BMW at higher speeds. Of course, both these motorcycles suffer from a lot of wind blast at higher speeds. While looks are subjective, it's in performance and features where the KTM has an upper hand. Meanwhile, the BMW really excels in terms of brand snobbery and of course dynamics. Thus, choosing one can get quite difficult unless and until you look at the price, because the KTM has a big price advantage. If the BMW was priced at a lesser amount, then yes, it would have made a lot more sense. But at this pricing, the verdict does shift towards you again came with the Apache RR310.
But don't you agree that this one is the best of both worlds?
But actually, if you want the value for money of a KTM and the BMW hardware, then the Apache RR310 makes for the perfect bet.